guys, what's going on? This is Stoned Edge, and today I'm going to give you a run through of the Lite CM5 internal hardware. A lot of people have asked to see what the internals look like, and I'm happy to share that most of the internals is done. There's a few things that need to be tweaked for the next revision and the final order, but 95% of the hardware I'd say is completed. So let's walk you through. So we'll start over here on the left-hand side. This is the left-hand side or right controller PCB that houses the MPU 6050 gyrometer, accelerometer, IMU unit, U2 there on the silk screen. And then we have U6, which is the RP2040 microcontroller, which handles all of the buttons over USB for the controller. So yeah, obviously this is now outdated. The Raspberry Pi just announced the Pico 2, which is the 2350 now, which has a lot more analog inputs and many other different features. It's lower power consumption, etc. So, there is consideration that we would probably upgrade this. But for now, it works really well, and it is a USB HID. So, really happy with how it works. We have the dual tact controller buttons here, so I can push down. There's a first press here, it's like that, and then a second press. So these are basically camera buttons, and they work really nicely with the rear controller triggers, so that you get two presses. I think I explained that in the previous video. Down here we have a USB-C port for programming, so that was really just for debugging when we were doing testing. For now, you don't need to actually. If you want to reprogram the controller, it's quite easy to do. You essentially hold a button combination that will put it into USB bootloader mode, and then you can drag and drop the firmware. So it's very easy to upgrade the controller should we need to. We have a Wi-Fi antenna here. Now I'm sort of still looking for the best location for these. I've sort of just put them underneath the speakers for now. But yeah, we have it's pretty much identical to the Lite CM5 4 design. However, we do now have no need to solder anything on this kit or on this build. Everything is essentially solder free. So we have little connectors here for these. These are actually using switch Lite speakers. So yeah, it's very, very nice. Moving along, we have obviously our trigger here. This is a switch Lite. This button here is a switch Lite button. So that's all on the left-hand side. At the top of the device here, you've got obviously power and volume up and down. And these are actually using a switch, also a switch Lite flex PCB. We have the battery here. Now this is a battery I just sourced from AliExpress, to be honest. It is, again, it does say there 4,860 milliamp hours on the single cell, and there are two cells. At the moment, I don't particularly trust these batteries, so I'm not charging them to. It does say the nominal voltage there is 3.85 volts. However, I am not charging them to 4.3 volts just to be on the safe side. So 4.2 volts all the way down to 3.1 volts is sort of what I'm doing at the moment for the charge range. But of course, we could program that and change it to get maybe a little bit more battery life out of it. Moving across now, so you can see that the cooling system has been significantly upgraded versus the Lite CM4. So we had a pretty annoying fan, to be honest, on the Lite CM4 that was not really necessary, to be honest, because the CM4 didn't put out too much heat. But now, this system does put out quite a significant amount of heat. So I'm using the Lite CM4 heatsink. So it's the exact same as the previous one, except on the newer version, I've extended the fins out a little bit further to reach the edge. And then I've raised the height and decreased the base of the heatsink just so that it can reach. So at the moment, I'm using a thermal pad underneath here. But this heatsink is going to be redone for the Lite CM5 version 2. Here we have the switch Lite fan as well. So this is a pretty nice fan. I'm really enjoying. It's quite quiet, doesn't get too loud, and it really cools the system well. I also have, again, this secured to the front. So there was a bit of, in terms of hardware design, the PCB here, it would have been nice to sort of lower the fan a little bit to be able to decrease the thickness of the system. But as a result, I was able to fit a bigger battery and mount the fan to the front. So we have this fan mount here that allows it to sit in the front. So in the rear shell here, essentially don't have anything in the back except the triggers. And yeah, that's a nice design change, not having to mount the fan to the back of the case. Underneath here, so we have the Intel AX210 Wi-Fi adapter, so that does Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. That's over the PCIe Express bus. So it's only a one-lane PCIe Express bus on the RK3588S. However, yeah, on the regular RK3588, you get a lot more bandwidth and a lot more lanes, I think, available. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Some people were asking, where's your M-key, M.2 NVMe drive? And to be honest with you, I don't think I have much space in here to fit it in, let alone, yeah, even fitting in a Wi-Fi card. So it would have been quite a challenge to, you can see here, there's pretty limited space to fit an NVMe. Perhaps, yeah, you might have been able to do it with a few tweaks, but again, the heat output probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion, for such a small handheld. And also, I think this does have obviously eMMC and an SD card slot here, so you can obviously insert an SD card. Like that, and expand your storage quite easily. So here's the main star of the show, the RK3588S. This is has obviously, yeah, 3 connectors under here, 3 mezzanine connectors, one here, and one here. So again, not fully compatible with in terms of using it with an original CM4 IO board, because of that 3rd connector, but it does quite well. I have tested on the original CM4 board, and I was able to get most of the peripherals working. But yeah, obviously you can't get anything on the 3rd connector, so DisplayPort and USB 3.0, some other features like that, yeah, not available on other carrier boards. Let's unscrew the fan. I'll show you sort of what's underneath here. There's not too much to show, to be honest, but I will unscrew the fan quickly. So here's the PCB, pretty similar layout to the old one, to be honest. I'm using a similar charger. Here we have the battery connector here, HDMI and USB-C. So I think I've touched on the USB-C port here. It does DisplayPort, USB 3.0, and it has it's a lot more of a standard USB-C port that you'll see on most embedded systems. We have controller cables here going here and over to the other side. And this time we do have a real-time clock battery. So this one here is a 2020 or 1220 cell. So yeah, this one gives us real-time clock functionality, which is nice because, yeah, obviously for certain games they do use those. So we wanted to integrate that this time. For the most part, that's pretty much everything. So SD card, as I mentioned, here's the fan connector. USB-C. Here we have, there's a microcontroller up here that controls a lot of so it communicates to the battery to program those registers and settings for charging and battery management. Here I'm using the same I2S audio amplifier from Wolfson, and yeah, similar headphone jack setup. I didn't really see any need to change this. It worked really well, and we were able to get it working with the RK3588 for audio, so I'm quite happy with that solution. And the right hand side, there's not much to talk about here. It's literally a mirror of the left hand side, obviously a small design change and shape for the PCBs, etc. But yeah, similar sort of symmetry going on the right hand side. So thanks for tuning in, guys. That's the Lite CM5 hardware internal. Again, I made it seem quite simple, but obviously the design was, quite complicated. I debated where to put the Wi-Fi card, whether to make it onboard or PCIe. In the end, I went for a PCIe, and yeah, just managed to fit. As you can see, there's hardly any space, to be honest with you, to fit that. It really just sits right next to the USB-C port there. You can see any further forward and I would have made contact. So I think, yeah, pretty happy with the design and the project overall. So I think the next video will be testing Android 13. So we're in the final stages now I have released a beta image for Android 13. So if you are interested in that, go and check it out on GitHub. You can run a beta image of Android 13, and we have a lot of the hardware functioning. Probably after this video, it'll be fully ready for an alpha release. But yeah, it does have the Vulkan drivers available in Android, so I may switch over to that just for for gaming's sake. It's a lot more performant, and yeah, I'm looking forward to testing out some Nintendo Switch and other titles with Android. But for now, guys, that's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the hardware review, and if any questions, please do leave them in the comments. Thanks very much.